This video is sponsored by World Anvil, the Swiss Army knife of online platforms for D&D. Its main focus is world building, but it also boasts a campaign manager, character creator, and tracker, a map tool with markers, timelines. I mean, come on, what don't they offer? It's run by two geniuses in their community that host events and challenges all the time. Some of it's free to use and the rest is all subscription based, but I promise it's worth every penny. If you haven't already, check them out. It's an easy tool to get hooked on. Now about those dragons. What if lizards were really big and they could fly? Apparently everyone in the world thought this was an important question because dragons are depicted by nearly every culture in different ways. Seriously, how are these all so similar yet different? How the hell did this happen? Anyway, in a little old game called Dungeons & Dungeons, these big lizards are featured as a minor addition in the monster manual. A lot of people tell me I forget things in my videos or I don't mention stuff, so here's a layout of what I'm gonna show you. We got English Dargans, Longs, the good guys made of metal, the bad guys who are just colors of paint, expensive guys who just don't give a shit, this one shadow thing, this dead guy, and this almost but not quite dragon that's really tiny. They also have cell phones and wyverns. I don't personally know who Vern is or what he did that prompted the question, but these guys need more arms. Dragon turtles are turtles. Don't think you can pull the shell over my eyes. To cover the two most well-known historical types of dragons, we first have to look at Greek and Roman dragons. They were big snakes. That's what the word dragon meant. Okay, moving on. Oriental dragons seem to be the closest to what people used to think dragons were, and they also share a similar semblance to the biblical Leviathan or the world serpent. The difference is, these things had big beards and whiskers and they were nice to people. At some point in the 12,000s, which feels like a weird date to say, some stupid motherfucker got really drunk and drew wings on this ugly painting in a bestiary and was like, "Yeah, I think I heard someone say they can fly, so naturally shitty bat wings." European dragons are much more animalistic and monstrous when compared to the wiser Longs. Them living in caves, stealing princesses, and hoarding wealth made for good stories, and eventually we started writing our own stories of defeating them. Thus, Chainmail 2, or Dungeons & Dragons. Let's move into that lore. I think one of the coolest ways to view their history is as entirely natural. No gods made them on purpose, and magic came to them as they evolved. Dragons can boast the oldest family tree. The damn thing has to be like General Sherman. But at some point, they diverged. We now have 3 types of true dragons and a bunch of subtypes of those. Why did I make this video when there's like 100 dragons? Before we get started on the block by block of each Dargan, I'm gonna tell you that they have gods. The good guys made of shiny worship Bahamut, the one and only Platinum Dragon. He's like that dude that shows up at the end of Oblivion and just beats up that big other guy. And the bad guys worship themselves. Oh no, wait, that's just one lady. She's got a bunch of heads and also she's mean and crazy. Okay, cool, let's get started. We'll sort by alignment. Bring up that first guy. Why are there 3? Put a couple back, that's too many. Bronze dragons are the military submarines of dragonkind. They relax near port towns, munching on fish and watching the ships go by because they have literally nothing better to do at all. Well, technically that's not true. Every dragon has one thing it likes to do. So bronze dragons just open up Minecraft and run around looking for sunken ships to loot. Most of the lawful dragons serve a cause that they believe is moral, and bronze dragons are no exception. Remember when I said that thing about military subs like 12 seconds ago? That's because these deep sea beefcakes are more than happy to help wage war on beachside tyrants. Metallic dragons tend to be relatively humble when it comes to collecting wealth from others, so employing a bronze war lizard is actually a great deal. Just like a monthly subscription to metallic dragons have one more unique trait I haven't mentioned, and that is their habitual shape-shifting. Bronze boys use this to explore ships as rats or birds, or even take a human form to ask the captain politely for that cool thing they want that they saw below deck. Also, they breathe lightning and can fus roda. I just realized that these dragons are literally bronzed beach babes. And with that, we're moving on. Gold dragons are straight up badass grandpas. Being the strongest good-aligned dragons aside from Pizza Hut the expensive dragon, they conduct themselves with unrivaled wisdom and intelligence. So naturally, they pretend they aren't dragons and dick around. They build a flawless vault to keep their treasure, equipped with magical wards, glyphs, traps, locks, security cameras, and an Alexa, so you can't get in that shit. Then these money body dragons turn into old people or squirrels, and do what we like to believe God does: help run the world in unseen ways. They guide stupid idiot kids out of forests if they get lost, become regulars at Poor Larry's Tavern just to keep the business alive, or be a squirrel and do a squirrel dance to make the party happy. They can breathe fire and anti-barbarian gas, and they eat gemstones like caviar. Here's a pro tip: don't bribe one. Ever. Here's some famous last words from a guy who got killed by a gold dragon. "Why yes, officer, I did steal that bag of gems from that innocent baby. But here, take this gem as a bribe and don't kill me." Silver dragons are like the second place of dragons. That was totally a lie, they're the best dragons. For the most part, they're basic good dragons with strong virtues and moral values who hang out with other silver dragons and build their own hordes. But what makes them the best is that they're obsessed with humans. They're like weeaboos who watch the lives of adventurers and merchants like it's their favorite anime that they get to be a part of. This is made even more true by the fact that they live a lot longer than us, so every year is like an episode, and all their favorite characters die. They take a couple hundred years to have some kids, check on their horde, do the dishes, take out the trash. Then they come back to find the series has ended and the main character died like a long time ago. But there's a reboot with his daughter, and that might be good. Instead of hoarding the shinies, they collect posters and merchandise from their favorite kingdoms, and take care of these tapestries and relics that are centuries old. They like cold mountains, and can breathe cold mountain. They also have limb stop gas, and they're cool, and I want one. Well, that's all we got for lawful good. Let's take a look at neutral good dragons. Brass instruments function based on lip movements and are sometimes called labrasones because, oh wait, no, the monster. Do you remember in high school, there was always this one kid that no one really liked, but you were too polite to tell them to go away, and their jokes weren't that great, and they kinda knew they didn't belong because they didn't get invited to things, but they stuck around because they wanted to pretend they had friends? Well, that was brass dragons. Brass dragons are that guy. They have a slight paradox in their nature because they pick isolated ruins and sand dunes to live, but crave conversation with other creatures. Like, move to LA, ya idiot. They treasure sentient magic items, portals to other planes with interesting denizens, and trapped genies. Other treasures they have are used to incentivize a conversation. That shitty song, "Let's Get Social," is their anthem. And if you're rude or ignore them, they just breathe Ruthie gas so you can't say no to a chat. They're weird. Copper dragons are just the gnome bards of dragons. Telling stories and jokes is like breathing to them, and a good prank is what they live for. They're not evil, so their intentions are good, but their vices kind of make them dicks. So you have to either laugh at their shitty puns or die by acid and slow motion breath. If you seek one out and humor it by laughing at its jokes and listening to its stories, then you ask it for a magic item that you heard it might have, it'll say something like, yes, I have heard of the scepter of the sphincter fixture. It's like a week that way past the 7 shrining spheres in the land of ice and snow. So you go there, and you search the ice and the snow, and you don't find anything, and then he shows up behind you, and he had it in his hand the whole time, and he's just like, "You just got pranked, bro!" I'll make this a 3-parter so you guys get more content, I actually get to explore each dragon in detail, and my advertisers are happy. But I'll tack on a dragon cousin to end each one, so let's take a look at pseudo-dragons. It's a cat. These tiny cuties are technically neutral good dragons, so we do have one for every alignment. They hide in quiet places like old trees or small caves, and hunt rats in their free time. They're great familiars because they have resistance to magic and an emotional form of telepathy. A mini Dargon can also serve as a companion without the spell, as long as they're provided with treats and gems, or whatever they want, whenever they want. So they're like cats, but a lot better than my cat. Fuck that guy.